Yeah? Can I start? We're good? One sec. Okay.
Wait till you get back and then we'll.
All right.
Fire the
Oh, man, we're about to begin.
cameras are on for the. I changed my shirt.
On camera. Great. All right, welcome everyone to the Historical and Architectural Review Board meeting for today, Wednesday, April 2nd. First on the agenda is a call to order. Bonk. Second on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next order of business is the approval of meeting minutes from the last meeting. Do I have a motion to approve?
I move we approve.
Second.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Minutes are approved. Next, we can get into the applications for board review. The first one will be HARB 2025-5, 125 Walnut Avenue, an addition. A little bit of background information on this property. Based on the Radnor survey, it was constructed 1888 to 1889. The architect was John Clifford Worthington, and the builder was Wendell and Smith. Actually, all of today's homes are Wendell and Smith. And it was named the Gabled Inn. If you'd like to come up and present your proposal. And for the presentation, just succinctly focus on those elements that are visible from the exterior, and we'll go from there.
Good evening. Am I required to speak into the mic, I guess? I'm Mike with Forest View. This is also Mike. We're excited that Doug and Gina Ford have partnered with Forest View to build a two-story addition on the back of their home. We at Forest View have done work to numerous houses throughout the North Wayne town, or the area of North Wayne, and have completely fallen in love with the area. The houses are unique. There's a lot of great workmanship and details that are not replaceable, if you want to say it that way. We look forward to do another one whenever we can, so it's a pleasure that they have signed up with us. The Ford family is not here tonight, so they asked us to represent them. And just a little briefly about the Fords, they have 5 members in their family, including parents Doug and Gina. Their children, Nella is 8, Thomas is 5, and Marabella is 3. The family are members of the St. Catherine of Siena Parish, the NWPA North Wayne Protective Association, and the Martins Dam Club. Nella is in 3rd grade at Wayne Elementary, while Thomas and Marbella attend Our Lady of Assumption preschool and kindergarten. Children are involved in various extracurricular activities and sports throughout the community. The family moved into North Wayne originally at 108 Walnut Avenue, then moved up to 125 and 22. Originally, they moved in at 17. And so I guess they relocated. They liked the area. They said, let's stay in Wayne. So they bought another house. With the addition of a 5th member, I think he said 22, it became obvious the space was too small. Adding the addition was much needed. A larger kitchen, entertainment space, he says, would be great to have friends and neighbors over, and aligning the upgrades to some of the neighboring houses, more of an interior thing, but that would be one of his wishes as well. So the reason of the addition is very practical and basic. The Ford family wants to add functional space to their home, basically, and we're not doing any work to the front of the house. Pretty much all the work is in the back, although we are adding a new roof. So starting here. You can see the red is where we're removing, that's an existing deck, and then the sunroom is being removed as well. With that, go down to show the new area. So you see the line here is showing the existing, and this is what we're adding. Like, we're renovating this and adding a new deck. So with that, we're not protruding out the side of either side of the house and not going higher than the existing elevation to maintain the street appearance. Scrolling down, if I can zoom out here. So this is the existing elevation page, the existing rear. We would remove this sunroom, which later I do show a picture. The sunroom is not historic. It was added at some point. I don't know when that was. Then this little area here, we would be maintaining this exterior wall and adding to it, maintaining the stone foundation and adding to that as well. The deck is also nothing historic about it. It's just an old pressure-treated deck. So, and then the front elevation stays as it is. And here the side, as you'll see later, the addition is adding to the peak, and we're basically extending it back. This A-frame stays, and this roof line edge is just simply extended back. Very basic. Scrolling down to pictures, if we focus on these two pictures, this is the existing rear, and this is what the new rear is to look like. You see we kept this gable like a Dutch gable with a dormer in it and came back off of this. This would be existing with a new window here, and then the foundation starts somewhere in this line and is extended back. The new A-frame in the back would be to match the A-frame we see on the front of the house coming to this picture here. The pitches are similar. This pitch is existing, so very, very little changes other than we just simply have an extended backside and then a nice new deck. Just going to some elevation notes here. The new stone is being extended. The new soffits are going to be a PVC material to match existing color. The new shingles to match existing color. I believe we're doing new shingles over the entire house. So currently is asphalt, we're putting asphalt back. I guess only change would be existing is a 3-tab, and we would be going to an architecture, or the architectural shingle. The new bump out here with the window and then a overhang over the door with a neat little bracket there. The new deck would be PVC materials, and the decking would be like a gray of some sort to match the kind of the sheen of the existing house. Moving on, actually, make sure I didn't miss anything here. So moving on, we have some pictures of the house, and so here's something interesting. We have a house. If I can go over to this map, we are on Walnut Ave, and this house here, 409 Oak Lane, is very similar in architectural style. The driveway is simply on the opposite side. I believe this is the neighbor's driveway. So you see this one's driveway comes on this side of the house, theirs comes on this side, but very, very much the same. They have obviously updated this, and you see they did a similar addition out the back. So here's a rendering of our addition. And now this house is not on their street, but is in the same neighborhood. On the map, you can see it would be maybe a block away. So We have the house across the street and the neighboring on the right and the neighbor on the left. And this is the Fords right here. With this, you can see we are planning to replace the siding. The siding that's on the house now is not a historic siding of any means. It's like a big, wide, I'm not sure what the actual material is, but we're looking to, I have some pictures of that. Yeah, so we're replacing the new addition with that, and I'm sure in the future they're looking to do the whole house in that, just to bring a more historic appealing reveal of siding back, like that more narrow. They have a very wide reveal here, not historic at all. On this sunroom, this is the sunroom that we're removing, that obviously not historic with the vinyl siding. And even, I don't think I have a picture of the inside, but the inside is obviously trimmed from a later date. Same with the deck, not historic at all. And here's more of a close-up of the siding, so. And you're thinking it's probably asbestos of some sort. Okay. So these pictures are basically just showing other houses in the area that have similar sidings. It's hard to see till you zoom up, but this is basically the same siding we're looking to put on, probably a color that matches the existing house now. So it's noteworthy that the inside of this house has a lot of cool wood details and features, and we're looking to maintain those best we can. They have a really cool stairway, and with some unique turnings and stuff, and that's to be maintained. So,
Great.
yes.
Great. I have just one question. So it looks like kind of in the center, you're maintaining the peak of the gable running
Yes.
all the way through. The rear gable, the one that you're adding on, so the pitch is less steep compared to the front gable. The eaves there that you're extending, is that where the current eaves are today? And then, so you're just
The
extending-
eaves right here,
Yeah.
yes,
Okay, so you're just maintaining the.
That's right.
The existing eave. And so the
Correct.
existing gable is at that sort of level of peakiness?
correct.
Shallower. Okay, I just wanted to make sure I understood that. Thank you.
Yes, and with this, we were able to use pretty much every bit of space in here. We actually even created like this cute little nook on the inside of this gable. So, yes.
I'm confused on the difference between the front elevation that you have with the front porch, far right picture, middle picture, far right, that one. So in the front of the house, there's that steep point, the whole front of the house. But in
Yes.
the back of the house, that steep point disappears and becomes a shallow point. Where did the steep point go?
So,
Because it looks like it flows through. Does it get wider once it passes the side gable?
so when it gets intercepted by this A-frame right here.
Right.
From this side picture, you see it's cut off with a Dutch. And here it widens, like this pitch. We haven't gotten a aerial picture of this, but this pitch is matching the new pitch that we're extending. See if any of my, here, a rendering kind of explains what I'm talking about. The cross.
You don't notice the shallowness of the pitch compared to the front because of the gable that sticks out? and
Yes,
hides it.
this side, that's
I
right.
think technically if you were like at the top of the house and you were looking straight on, you could see it goes from here to here.
Yes.
But that's
It's not gonna
impossible
happen
to
from
see.
the road.
Yeah, I think,
Okay.
Yes,
I'm just making sure I understood what I was looking at.
yes.
yeah. I
Thank
think
you.
It's important to me that, so I think I might have more of an issue with the shallower gable had it not, if it were not simply an extension of the existing eaves.
And it's not viewable from the road.
Yeah.
Yes, and one thing we did want to note, like from this view, from the neighbor's driveway, what they would be looking at is basically this, which is pretty much the same as what this guy did.
Okay.
Great.
Any other questions?
No.
Okay.
Motion for certificate of approval?
Second.
Appropriateness.
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 Okay.
Right, there you go.
Second.
Second.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
Thank you.
Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Okay, great. Next up, we have, I don't know why this says DRB. I assume that's a misspelling. Let's call it HARB 2025-6, 323 Midland Avenue. One-story addition to rear of house. Just a few details. This home circa 1890 to 1891. Architects FL and WL Price, another Wendell and Smith home. This one did not have a catchy nickname in the historical survey. Please present your project and we'll go from there.
I'm Juliet Kozak, I'm the architect on the project. Oops, sorry, I guess I'll go over here. Can I move this? We're talking about 323 Midland today. We're proposing a one-story addition at the rear of the house. So you can see this kind of polka dotted area is the new build, and the striped area is the existing house. And this area right here is an existing patio that will be removed. So here is the existing house. We're not proposing anything to the front of the house. There were some recent additions, including an elevator on the side, and then there's kind of a kitchen mudroom addition at the back, which we're essentially replacing. So you can see, sorry, it's not a great picture because of the sun, but it has a very low slope roof, skylights, and that's all newer stuff. Here's the surrounding architectural context. I wanted to point out this house in particular. Obviously, it's very similar to the one we're working on. And they also have a newer addition at the rear of the house. Theirs is a two-story. We're only proposing a one-story. Other things to note are there are a lot of shed dormers around. We're proposing that on the third floor of the house at the rear. So here you can see the proposed addition comes off the rear of the house. We do have, so obviously this is the original house. We're proposing, we're going to jog the addition in so that there's a definitive line between the existing historic house and the newer addition. Then we propose mostly casement windows. The original house has casements, double hungs, all sorts of different light configurations. And then we're doing there's an existing dormer here, so we're basically extending that for more space on the third floor and then matching it over here. There is just a little two-story bump out for bathroom, and that comes over an existing portion of the house that's currently just one story. And let's see, what else? We'll be matching the same siding, that same cedar. There's already like the stucco on the front of the house, so we'll match that most likely for the foundation. That's pretty much it. So here's the rendering. As you can see, because it's kind of just tucked back way behind the house, so you don't really get a great view of it from the street. And then because of the newer elevator, that side is really hard to see from the street. But this is from the backyard view. And that's it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
A couple comments I have. So I do have a little bit of concern over the I guess it's the east facing, it's the longer of the two rear additions. So it will be decently visible from Midland. When I look at the massing, it's very low slung, moves away from the house quite a bit. The gable pitch is very shallow, so you're kind of putting a, 1 1/4, 1.5 story up against what is essentially a 3-story.
Right.
Not traditional for Victorian homes of this nature. I was wondering if there's anything that could be done about sort of that massing, whether it's pitching the gable or, on the other side with the extension, that point you made with that little bump out, actually sort of stair steps the main mass of the home into that addition.
Right.
So I was wondering if there was something that could be done so it's not so, severe with that low slung
Yeah,
extension.
and it's tough because there's this existing window up here,
Yeah.
so we wanted to keep that. So the option would be to do, a lower ceiling, but then it would get even shorter and have more roof.
It kind of looks like the 1950s edition
Oh, no.
with just sticking a room on the back, a rectangle on the back of the house without the style. I'm not sure how to get around that.
Yeah.
Unless you mirror the gable that exists now with just a fake roof line, only
Yeah.
smaller.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we could do a cutout at the window to keep that and then do a higher pitch.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. It's a tough one to, we just proposing a remedy. You can't,
Right.
we can't just do that off the cuff. But in that other example home that you cited, where they have the 2-story addition, again, 2 next to 3, sort of that more sympathetic massing. That almost kind of makes more sense with the Victorian home
Yeah.
style.
Well, I will note we're replacing a 1-story addition, too. There's already a 1-story addition there.
Short, is that the first 2 windows?
First 2 windows where?
Closer to the house of the.
No, that's where, there's a patio right there now. The 1-story addition is all in here.
Is there, sorry, do you have a photo of the rear kind of from that side?
6 windows in the bottom left corner of the new picture.
These?
Between the 2 extensions, if you go down 1 picture and to your left. Yeah, those 6 windows in the middle there, is that the 1-story addition you're talking about?
No, the 1-story addition is here. And that's a patio right now. So here's so this is all a 1-story addition with a low slope roof. And then this is a 1-story.
That's that sun photo.
I know, it's a
Yeah, it's
terrible
tough.
photo, but, so the roof line is, here. And then there's skylights there.
Thoughts?
Same as yours. It does look a little peculiar being a 1-story off a big massive house. How much do I drove by it, I can't recall, I can't picture how much of it would be seen from the road.
Yeah, so
Extension.
that's what these show. I mean, obviously, the tree we can't count, but
Yeah.
it's tucked back here. I mean, we could think about coming out more on the 2nd story so that it does get that step down.
Yeah. Yeah, I think for me, I think that would be preferable. If you came out a little bit on that 2nd story, then you could also potentially pitch the roof higher, again, more sympathetic to the existing,
Yeah.
Victorian home style steep pitch. I think that would be just more in keeping with the style of the home.
Yeah.
I think that would be preferred at least from my perspective. I don't want to speak for.
Yeah, we were just trying not to lose the window.
I
and
know,
then-
it's
And then
tough.
all the original detail of the gable brackets.
That is true, that's tough.
I mean, we could do more of the gable brackets on the lower, or have it So for us, it's most important to keep the original roof line so that that eave is, the most prominent.
Yeah.
And with all the other details of the front of the house, we were feeling like we can just be kind of subservient to the big house and just tuck it in the back, but I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
So what I'm hearing, if I'm hearing correctly, is that maybe a redesign of the addition to more closely kind of fit the mass structure and style of what's there now, even though you're taking off something that doesn't really match.
Yeah,
To put on something that doesn't really match isn't kind of in style.
right.
Yeah, yeah, and then the other parts of the plan, I've no real issues with. I don't have an issue with the shed dormers. We don't prefer them, but that's okay. And then, I guess like I said, the other part of the addition, because it's sort of stair steps down, it feels a little bit more connected to the larger mass. So those, no issues, but yeah, I think if there could be an attempt at kind of redesigning that long piece,
Yeah.
I think that would be really beneficial.
Yeah, I might have to fake the gable the other way. If I turned it
Yeah.
at the end part.
Mm.
I'm not an architect, so I'm not going to throw you design.
No, it's
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, I'm
it's
not
okay.
gonna architect this.
No, I appreciate the feedback.
Yeah, yeah, but I think the other parts I think are totally fine, but I think it would be nice to see, in addition, and another interpretation of that piece of the addition. Okay?
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, so, redesign and return. Yeah, so a return, yes.
Do we move for a design and return? Is that?
Yeah, I don't actually know how to say that. What do I say here? Okay.
Move for
It-
continuance and a comeback.
Right.
Okay.
Yes.
Second.
Thank you.
All those in favor, I guess?
In
Aye.
favor.
Great, okay. Great, thank you. Our next project, HARB 2025-7, 424 Woodland Avenue, a two-story garage addition, one-story office addition, and pool house in the rear yard. Some establishing facts. Property is circa 1889 to 1890. Another FL and WL Price home, another Wendell and Smith home, and this one is the Flemish house, for what that's worth.
Is it the Flemish house?
That's what it says.
Okay, I
Yeah.
thought it was a Japanese house.
I think it's a Japanese house.
I think it's the Japanese house.
One of the five original.
Hey, take it up with the Radnor survey, and whoever
That's all right.
put that
The
spreadsheet
last time I
together.
was here, it was a Japanese house.
You know what?
Sounds good.
It migrated west
That's okay.
significantly.
All right.
But
So it might be nice to tell you a little bit of the history. I have been before this group
would be
before.
wonderful. Yeah.
I have been before this group once before for this house. Brent Jones bought the house in early '21, and in '22 we came before you to talk about some rear additions while we did a full renovation of the interior and a restoration of the exterior. What's happening now is that Brent got married, and Rosemary and Brent had a baby, and they've decided they're going to raise their kids in this house and completely finish all the things we hadn't done before. So what I'm showing you today are two additions. One is to the garage, and one is for a library and nanny suite. That's a pavilion at the rear of the house. And then also, when the landscaping finally gets settled, and we're not settled on it yet, there is a pool house being contemplated that's in these plans. So, where are we? Should I take this one out? There's one in here now. All right. And just while we're talking, so like when Brent bought this house, the front was basically intact, and we kept the front intact, including additions that had probably been done back in the 50s or 60s. The rear was completely obliterated by an 80s addition that we worked very hard at kind of fussing with and making it a little bit more appropriate for the house. Oh, she has it. No, I gave you my flash. No, I didn't. I'm sorry, that's what's wrong. This one was never taken out.
I thought you gave me the one.
I apologize. Yes, garage was there. It was an addition in that 80s era. That's right, and then we extended the rear of the garage toward the back to make it larger, and we added a small dormer for a laundry room. Okay. You'll forgive me, technology sometimes gets away from me. We got it? There we are. Okay, next. All right, so that just gets you started. Basically, as you can see, when you see, this is a corner property, so this is the view you see coming down the main street. Eagle Road, thank you, that's right. And the front, this full corner still exists as the original house, with the porch. And at one point, as I said, probably back in the 50s or 60s, the porch was glassed in. The main porch was glassed in. So it has as you can see the glass there. One of the additions we're proposing, and if I'm being disorganized, just let me know, just ask questions. This piece here is one of the additions we're proposing. This gable was always here. No, I take it back. This gable was always here. That's the original gable. This is the pavilion that we're adding that would allow for a library and a basement and nanny suite. All right. And this just gives you a sense of the contemplated landscaping that's going to be worked. Right now, we took all the old, starting to die landscape out. Right now, it's a lawn, and we're looking at new landscaping. The additions, this is the garage addition, which is basically, it's shown too large on the landscape plan, but it basically right now comes back to here. This is the garage addition here.
Okay, thanks for clarifying. I was going to say that
I
doesn't match the
apologize.
renderings.
Yeah, doesn't
Okay.
make it quite. And you'll notice what we're doing is there's an existing stone and cedar shake chimney that we're respecting. So we're creating a kind of areaway back to what's the mudroom door that was created in the 80s. And then the other addition is the pavilion, which is the library back here. What it does for us, this is the addition we put on 3 years ago. And what it does is it makes, and there was an existing deck with landing with stairs coming down from French doors out of the house. That was part of the 80s addition. And we're creating a kind of, if you will, an outdoor dining courtyard in the rear. There is contemplated to do a pool, and that is the proposed pool house. And just for interest, there is the house intact, a house like it in the neighborhood intact, without the porch filled in, and so you can see all the gables. And I think what we've tried to do through our design is always respect the fact that it's a very heavily gabled house.
So the garage was there for the house.
Right, so the garage, right.
Out of the telephone pole.
Right, so that's not our actual house. I don't know what the address of this house is, but the garage would have been right here. And that's that chimney, that sort of faux chimney, which, by the way, all these little windows lead to nowhere. They're ornamental windows. They have no function inside the house. They're behind walls. They're not like little nooks and crannies in the house.
Is that the same, that's in this property as well?
Yes.
So they're,
They're literally faux windows inside the chimney.
that explains a lot. Okay. That's very interesting, thank you.
And you can see various houses have been renovated and so forth. This kind of gives you a sense so this house here is the house across the street. This house is exactly the same house, sort of opposite hand. And you can see in this one, there's, the porch was left open. This gives you a sense of what's around the neighborhood of this property. A number of houses have had additions put on them in various ways. That's right, exactly. With a lot of fussing done to it, I think, over the years. I didn't introduce myself, I apologize. I'm Eric Grimshaw, I'm the lead designer on the project, and Brent is here tonight, just if you have any questions for him. Again, sort of a nice review of the same style house and things that have happened to it, happened to them over the years. You can see how porches have been filled in and various additions have been put on the rears. And so it gives you a sense of how how the houses have gone through many changes. How long has this committee been in existence? So this gives you a sense of the existing house. Okay, just wondered. Just curious, I'm sorry. So here's the house as it stands now, and with all the renovations that we did to it. The front was completely respected and restored, all the stucco was restored, the windows were replaced where they needed to be. The addition that we did was we enlarged the garage by creating this piece here, which allowed for the second floor to become more useful and allowed for the way the garage is used. A number of cars are parked in it. Right now you can see all the landscape has been taken away, partially because it was old and very badly taken care of. So we're beginning the process of a landscape plan. You can see there's the garage on the front. There's the kind of cool set of gables on the side of the house. The addition we're proposing is a second gable here with a bay window, with a window in the front that would come out to about there. And we plan on, you can see all the stone foundations. We plan wherever we can to use that stone foundation as part of the design. And you can see here on the side, this is the existing, there's the big gable. This library pavilion sits right here. And that library pavilion, we take that line and just come across, and the library pavilion will have that same big stone foundation on it. Yes, here.
And the library's going to come off the quadruple windows that are there now?
No, the library is right here.
No, go back, top right corner.
This one?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, the library's right here.
Wider than the house?
No, it is not wider than the house. It's as wide as the house sticks out on this side. This gable sticks out. That's how wide the library is. It's the same, sort of, it'll match that line right there.
Okay. Thank you.
Right, and then we also added this gable to get a laundry room fitted into this house. That gives you a sense of, there's the existing house, there's the additions we did in the construction that we did in the last 3 years. And so what we're proposing is that there's a second gable, a second peak added to the garage. And there is the library pavilions here with a small passageway to get to it, so it's a very private room. And that gives you, I'll go through the elevations again. Existing facade, there's the new garage as it would peer from the street. Again, we're going to use, what was very nice is most of the materials on the house were in pretty good shape, so I think they're all fairly original. So we simply cleaned them up, painted them, and replaced windows where we had to. It's a really nice renovation, by the way, if I do say so myself.
Can you go back to the first shot of the front of the house that
Sure.
exists now for a second?
And as I said, our plan is not to bring that garage out way past the house. It sets back away. It's what we're trying to do is keep it set back away from the porch. So the porch is always forward of the garage.
Okay, thank you.
And actually, when we're finished, it'll be another peak encouraging all the gables.
Which is actually quite nice. You're replacing a shed with a
Right.
front gable.
And what it's allowing us to do is create a real place for the kids to play and so forth. As you know, these houses are not real big inside. And then that gives you a sense, there's a good view, there's a side view. And you'll notice also one of the things that was important the last time we were here was that we respect this is why it's called the Japan house. All the roof lines have these little upsweeps. So we plan on using that also, the upsweeps in here. The library is this piece here. As you can see, we extend that stone foundation line across. This will have the sort of rubble stone foundation, and the rest of everything will be clad in the same cladding as the house and painted the same color as the house. And we use probably the same, there's some standing seam to kind of add a little variety. We have a couple, you can imagine with gables trying to connect all these roofs together. We're going to use the standing seam as the connector between all these roof lines. And there's also a lot of landscaping being planned. What's interesting about the house is that it has these the corner windows allow me to give him a really decent set of library shelves. It's a three-sided library with shelving on all three sides. And the corner windows will give him privacy and light. And I thought it was kind of cool that it slightly mimics that corner window fill-in in the porch at the front.
Could you show me that real quick?
If I can find it. Yeah, trees obscuring it. Let's see if I can go back. There you go. There's that window. And it wraps the corner, so it becomes a sunroom on the front of the house. That's a loose comment. I realized when I was looking at it the other day that I thought, well, I'm just throwing it out there, really. It's a kind of a complex process because we're trying very hard to not make there's this urge to be modern, and yet I don't want to do that. Because it's a relatively modern interior. But I love all these big gables, and I thought that was what was so important about it all. And there you get a sense of the garage. So there's that porch on the side with the big stone. And then this is we're basically adding another full car length to the garage, which allows, if you're interested, allows for a gym to be at the rear with access to the garden.
So one question I actually had regarding the garage addition, I don't have a problem with the size or the massing. I actually think it looks sympathetic to the primary mass of the house. It's still subordinate, it's set back, and it's quite a bit shorter. It looks like the first floor windows are aligned, whereas the second floor windows step down a bit. Would it be possible to just align the second floor windows?
That's not a problem. It may even be just computer error, to be frank with you.
Okay. That was just something I noticed, is like if you're gonna
It's
align the
subtle.
first floor, might as
Right.
well align the second
Right.
floor.
That's
Okay.
not a problem at all.
Thank you.
And then that gives you a sense of how the rear feels when we add the library. So again, the dormer and all these windows and doors were added in the renovation we did in the last 3 years.
Do you think you could not put as much bookshelf space if you were to have more, the windows in the centers of the mass and the opaque on the
Well,
corners?
I think it would be, can I be honest with you? One, it would, because this is someone who collects books, and I'm trying to do that. The other piece that I think that this would start looking more bulky if I had traditional corners and windows in the middle. I was trying to break down and not have this pavilion feel too bulky, and I like the idea that the windows of the corners kind of relieve that. There's still going to be mullioned windows, not a contemporary window, but we can certainly, I'm certainly,
They look contemporary, at least in this vision right here.
Yeah, my questions or some of my hesitancy, it was all actually just around the small office addition. The flaring of the eaves on the roof, I understand that some of the other gables have that flaring, but I wonder if that's, I don't know, at least in the drawings, perhaps it's a little too flared. I don't want it to push into caricature.
I understand.
Right?
Yeah, no, in fact, guess what? That would be very easy to flatten and just, and no,
Yeah.
that's not hard at all.
Because I think that would be,
You do notice it, that they do flare up. It's easy to notice.
Yeah.
oh yeah, no, absolutely, but just it's just the extent of the flare, because that is it's just a smaller piece of roof, and so
Right,
you
it starts
have
to look
more
like,
flare
it starts to
for
look like it's
a certain
curved. You're
amount of height,
totally
that's
right.
all.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Totally right. That would be very easy to just drop it down a
Yeah.
bit.
Can you show the front of the existing house again?
Mhm.
For me, please?
The photograph,
Yeah.
you can see how they all flare up.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then can you show the rendering of the office piece again?
Mhm. In fact, I'll show you, would you like to, there are colored renderings if you'd like to see.
Yeah, that'd be great. And then
I'll come back to the pool house.
I've-
And
I-
forgive
I've
this,
no issue with the pool house.
in order to render this so you could see everything, the house, you've seen the photographs.
The
house is
chimney
not-
just disappeared
the-
in this
the
photo-
dark
in this
blue, the
rendering.
deep blue, the deep blue siding's deep blue. It's not speckled like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the chimney's missing.
Yes, actually, the chimney piece is missing. You're absolutely right. All right. Well, talk to my renderer. There you get a sense of it.
Yeah, and then the office edition.
Yep, I'm coming.
Or I keep referring to it as an office, it's not an
Right.
office, the
There you go.
library. You know, I think for me personally, coming into this, I had reservations about the windows, but I think if you were to remedy the roof flare, then something about the windows that way would, I
Okay.
think, be.
Because I'm not trying to
alright.
be Japanese, if you know what I mean.
Right, yeah,
Simply
exactly.
trying to respect the house.
Right.
Yeah, and I do understand the functional benefit of putting the windows that way is, we have to be mindful, because I don't think there's any other homes in that area that have that type of full
Right,
height
right.
corner windows, so we just want to be thoughtful.
And it's
about
kind of, I mean, if you want to use a metaphor, there are a lot of these little skinny windows throughout this house. So there are some little vertical elements that do appear all through the house. What I'm fond about this when I stand on the street, because you'll see this from the main street, is it really improves this facade a lot. And
Yeah. Was the thought about recessing that corner window? Because I'm thinking, your reference to the front porch, the window
a little
glazing
bit.
was.
It's about trying to get the bulk of that pavilion down. By recess, what happens is, you can imagine the library shelving's all in those recesses inside the room.
Yeah, so you're creating like a
And so
flat
I'm-
surface on the
And
interior.
then I'm pulling the glass in toward the front of the library shelving. And what it does is it breaks down those corners and doesn't make that just if you will, a big dumb box.
Yeah.
Yeah, I understand.
I'm okay with the library. I'm just, the mass of the garage and hiding the side of the whole facade, the side facade that you see from,
Let's go back there.
one more.
Yep.
Yeah, you want the front one. That guy.
Yeah. The facade disappears. All those little chimney windows, all that detailing that was put in on purpose to make it decorative is gone.
Well, it's
not gonna be seen.
it'll be,
the
yes,
most
the
part.
addition does slightly hide it. You're absolutely right. But what's kind of,
And nothing's gonna grow in that space.
well, this is
That's
a.
east
this is a-
facing with the north.
No,
north
this
face.
is a concept plan for just, the landscape's still in formula. That's actually going to be a walk back to the mudroom. The mudroom door, which is a door that was added in the 80s, is at the face of the original garage.
Okay.
So we're making kind of an areaway alley that you can go back there. Of course, if you park your car in the garage, you go right through the garage into the mudroom. But what I like about it is, again, it's not banging this property up against this house and making it one big volume.
It,
Here you go, the front. So what it does is, there's the rear addition from the 80s connects the original garage, and then our new garage front simply pulls forward but stays away from the house.
but that's a thinner version, because those aren't double garage doors now. The original garage has double wide garage.
That's right, we're gonna
doors.
do
And
one big,
these
we're gonna do
don't
one
look
big
like the
garage
same
door.
With garage doors, so that looks thinner than what the picture looks like when you show the original
Well,
picture.
We are, actually, the garage doors are actually gonna get slightly thinner, you're absolutely right.
Dave, any thoughts?
I'm still not keen on those windows in the back, but I'm not sure what to do with them. I'm not
And
willing to vote.
from a neighborhood perspective, not a single house that you showed us that was similar design has a garage that forward and making the house that much wider. All the other houses you showed us have a garage that's set back either behind the house.
Right, or behind the
Or it
house.
doesn't have a garage at all.
Unfortunately, we have an
And
existing,
that's what the
Okay.
nature of the structure is.
right.
And the garage that's there now kind of is in disarray with the neighborhood garage settings, if that makes sense. So to exacerbate that by adding more garage width closer to the street seems to
Yeah.
make that house even more incongruous with the rest of the houses of that style in the neighborhood.
Okay.
I don't know, I think there should be some credit given to.
But I didn't say what you were doing was bad.
No, I'm not taking, this is a conversation, believe me, I
Right,
totally
It
understand.
just feels incongruous to everything.
So
else.
here's your
That we
issue.
talked about.
We bought an existing house.
Right.
That already had a rather dumb garage stuck on the end of it, that we attempted in the first renovation to kind of make a little bit more elegant by how we added the addition on the rear. What's proving is that for need of parking a certain number of cars, to be frank, Brent does collect cars. And then also the fact that there isn't a children's space in this house, and we wanted to find a real playroom area for the house, and that allowed, the second floor allows for kind of a children's space. That sort of led us to say, if we again, in breaking down the scale and creating the gables, if we did that and respected all the gables that happen, again, that's the chimney, but all these gables, when you're driving by the house, it will, and because it's not banged up against the house, it will, I think for scale-wise, it's lower than the main house, and it's not one giant roof line. I mean, I can't tear down the garage and move it to the
Can you
rear of the
go to
property.
Can you go back to the site plan,
Sure.
please? Oh, that was it.
Nope.
Go
Hang on.
the other
Down.
direction.
You want to go the other way?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
site plan's
Oh,
right there.
this one,
That's
right
okay.
here, okay.
Okay, so what's the area, the pool house, where you have the pool house?
So the
Now-
pool house is there just to say that's what the pool house
That's
is.
where it will
The
sit,
landscape,
but-
the landscape plan, the pool house is more rear in the house.
At any rate, so if the garage was added to give more car space and play space and gym space behind the existing garage, the front of the house would still have the same set forward feel with garage behind it that the rest of the neighborhood has. I'm not saying that that's the redesign, but pulling it forward
Okay, so-
makes it less like every house in the neighborhood
So
and
let me,
much wider.
so here, let me give it, so it's kind of, I'll go through some logic.
That's the
just-
feeling I get.
Got it. I'll go through, let me just go through a little logic with you. If I did that, so what we've been trying to do is we want to, we really want to respect and keep the lawn this open and a nice, beautifully open lawn in this area, right? And then, of course, there's the area around here. Coming back this way, so what you're saying is you're coming this way with it.
And then the mass of the house maintains what little mass of separation it has at the current moment. And the gables can be changed. Either way. It's just maintaining the street view of the house separate and the garage addition without the garage addition being that much more in the face. That's where my objection is.
Okay.
I think from my perspective, I don't want to judge it too much as a garage. I just want to judge it as sort of a secondary mass with a sympathetic gable that is subordinate to the primary structure. And again, I sort of view it as, you see homes in the area, while I think to Tom's point, the garage piece is not necessarily in keeping with those directly around it. But if you think broadly about just the massing structure and how additions get added over time, rather than focusing on,
Right.
again, for me, focusing on it as a garage piece, I think it becomes more acceptable as these homes grow over time, and they just sort of assemble additional gables, and as long as the secondary masses are, secondary to the primary mass. And we've
Right.
had proposals before where we've seen massing that basically challenges the primary, and those you have to be much more careful about. But I think in this case, because it is both set back and it's much lower.
Right.
At least, again, me personally, I don't
So
have as much.
I would say that it would be a very, how do I say this? We're having a conversation here, obviously.
Yeah.
So going back this way, as you can see, starts to really,
Yeah, it hampers all your backyard
it,
plans.
it ruins the kind of idea of creating this rear courtyard that we're trying to
So
create.
you're adding 25 feet or 20 feet?
We are adding 25 feet to the garage.
Front.
So
if you added 12 and a half and 12 and a half, it would still be less.
So you're,
You're saying
oh, is that you're saying go this way and this way?
I'm just trying to keep the front, for me, the neighborhood has the feeling of that house is that house, and you can, and the garages were all put behind it or behind it, for the most part,
So,
which is in every picture that you showed of all the Japanese houses.
so getting down to brass tacks, Dave,
But-
how do you feel about the garage?
I think
Or
I-
with that mass, let's just call it
Yeah,
a
the
mass.
I think I could be okay with the garage. I'm not fond of the windows, but I don't know what to do about them either.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna redesign them right here, so.
The which windows?
The library.
I thought about it more. I think I
I'm
would feel.
fine with the windows.
Oh, that's interesting. I would feel more comfortable if, and I know you said it's sort of, it becomes a big dumb box if the windows are planar with the exterior surface,
Right.
but I think I would feel more comfortable with that, just given the prevalence of that being the style in the area, that's all.
Right.
I mean, it's kind of interesting when you look at this view in particular, which is not a view anyone with the neighbors is going to see. The addition, you can see, and it's really hard because I wish in rendering this so you could see everything, it's not as deep blue as it normally is. But the windows
Kind of
are
a
not
dark
as
brown, isn't it?
What's that?
Isn't it a dark brown?
It's like, no, it's a deep, deep blue-black.
Okay.
Those windows are not as prominent as they look like on the drawn elevations.
Yeah.
They're the only full-height windows on the building, and it just looks peculiar, but, maybe they don't have to be full height, maybe, there's just
Yeah.
something about them that looks a little peculiar.
Yeah, I
They're-
think, like I said, I think for
Little
me,
contemporary
like,
for me.
yeah, from my personal tastes, I quite like it. In trying to keep with the historical and architectural mandate, I think it would be better if they were coplanar with the exterior surfaces.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then we talked about the less flare on the eaves on
Right.
on that extension.
Right.
So with
Again,
those-
and again, and that's not a problem at all.
Yeah,
But if
absolutely.
you look at the perspective, that, again, they have to be careful with the elevations. They seem to be exaggerating
Yeah,
things.
absolutely.
Whereas when you see them in real life, they're no more flared than the other roof lines in the house.
Yeah, so for me, with those two changes, I'm good with this. Dave?
The slope of the roof,
The slope of the roof and then moving the windows
moving
out.
the windows out.
Yeah,
I could go with that.
okay. And then, I think,
Back to the massing.
Tom, you have an issue with the massing on the garage, which I think is a fair point, but but two people
Yeah,
don't have an issue. and
it's,
yeah.
two people don't have an issue. I have the issue that you're
Yeah.
taking a small mass and making, a small not conforming incongruous mass and making it a larger incongruous mass.
Yeah.
So I don't think that's a plus.
Okay.
I mean, it's a nice plus for what the house wants to do. I just don't think it's a nice plus for what's gonna end up the house looking like when it's done,
Yeah,
Yeah, you're right.
okay.
for what's in the neighborhood.
And there's nothing you can do with that, pulling it back.
Here-
Not get a full car in
Be
there.
frank with you, I can't push it any further back because of the program issues
Yeah.
on the interior.
Okay.
And also, if I'm touching both front and back of the garage, while we're spending a lot of money on this house.
Of course.
We're also in a budget situation where if I'm basically tearing the garage down and rebuilding it, it becomes problematic.
Okay, so if I wanted to move for a certificate of appropriateness with those specific changes to that one piece of the addition,
Into a contingent upon, approval
Okay.
contingent upon those changes, and just make sure you specify the changes in the approval.
great. So do I have a motion for a certificate of appropriateness contingent upon the changes to the library where the eaves are less flared and the windows are coplanar with the exterior surfaces?
I so move.
Can I second it? You can second it and then vote against.
Okay, I'll second it.
Yeah. Which, like, you don't have to vote for.
No, the windows don't bother me, I'll second it.
Yeah. But you would be voting on the whole project, right?
Right.
Yeah,
Which he's
so-
gonna do.
So that, I'm, you.
Yeah, so I could say, all those in favor?
Okay.
Aye. All those opposed? Okay, the motion carries 2-1.
Okay.
You have your conditional
All right,
certificate of
we will,
appropriateness.
Certainly move forward with those ideas.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Appreciate it, this was
Appreciate
great.
it. Good discussion.
All right.
Okay. Let's see, before we adjourn, the next HARB meeting is scheduled for May 7th at 6:30. Applications must be submitted on or before April 22nd. Motion to adjourn,
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
adjourned. Thank you, everyone.